Hello and welcome again to VW Feasts, and today orange and rosemary biscuits. Yummy! Relatively simple for this one, but you will need an orange, a rosemary, baking powder, an egg, sugar, salt and flour. Right, first we'll speed up the VW and get her turbocharged and trimming the rosemary. This is actually from our balcony, and therefore we know its provenance. What you're trying to do here is to give it a bit of a haircut and to get 2 small pieces of rosemary. You want enough to be able to provide a bit of a flavour, but not so big that they're going to actually catch you in the mouth as you eat. So each sprig, or each leaf perhaps, to cut down into perhaps quarters, so you have 2mm long bits of rosemary. As you can see, as you cut it, it's going to jump all over the place because that's the way it plays. Now the other key is going to be orange zest at this stage. We are struggling with ways to actually zest an orange. First of all, we're using a fine grater. As you can see, some is coming off, but it's not great. So the VW picked up this in Vietnam a few years ago. We were watching a lady shredding papaya, and it was very, very interesting to watch. But as you can see, it also looks quite lethal. So be careful. Maybe you have something better that can zest an orange. Of course, what you're trying to do is just take away the orange bit, but not go down so far as to get to the white, the pith. That's really not what you want in your biscuits. So why biscuits? Well, we're obviously locked away in these strange times, and the VW likes to nibble things occasionally, but buying a whole packet of big biscuits, she ends up going through them. This is a method where you can only cook a few at a time, so therefore removes the temptation. So for the final bit, we're able to use all the tools and get down to the stage where you can see we've taken all the zest off the orange. Important to get all that lovely flavour into the biscuits. And be very, very careful with strange Vietnamese shredding tools. Right, VW back on to turbocharge, and we're essentially going to combine all the ingredients. So first of all, the butter and the sugar, and essentially this is the same as if you were creaming the butter into the sugar. We'll just beat the egg to make sure it incorporates more smoothly. And then in goes everything else. So egg, the rosemary, the orange zest, at least with this your fingers smell lovely after cooking, rather than with chilies where your fingers become weapons. So salt, baking powder, they've gone in, and the VW starts to spoon it in, but that's tedious, so what we'll do is we'll stop it, open it up and dump it in, and then just run the mixer until it's completely done. And to this stage the VW is gesturing to me off camera to get something, and I'm not fast enough, but yes, she wants to cut the orange in half. So I hand her a knife, because what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the juice goes in as well. Again, the more you can get in, the better the flavour. These are particularly juicy and sweet oranges that we've bought. You can pretend it's your way of getting vitamin C, but actually it's biscuits. So, when you've got to the stage when that's all completely incorporated, you'll have a very, very sticky mixture. So on a floured surface, what you want to do is first of all clean off the mixing mesh, and then try and get this wonderful gooey sticky mess onto that floured surface. And what we're trying to do is really just make a long roll of this pastry, and essentially we want to get it to the same size as the biscuits if you see it in cross section, because that's actually ultimately what we're going to do. We will cut slices off this log and bake them as biscuits. So our freezer's a little bit stacked, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in two, and then of course you can have two different batches, but also it means that you can actually get this away into an overstocked fridge, because two small things are easier to get in than one big one. So into the cling film, and then these are going to go into the freezer. Fab. Let's put those away and come back another day. And here we are. We've taken one out of the freezer, and what the VW now wants to have some biscuits. So we'll just slice off some biscuits. Don't want them to be too thick. These are meant to be thin biscuits. Make sure you've got a nice sharp knife and be very careful cutting through. We've got a preheated oven, and we're just going to put these out onto a baking sheet. Yeah, that seems about the right amount of biscuits. So into the oven, and out they come. We cool them on a rack. It's tempting to eat them straight from the oven, but you will burn yourself. And then arrange on a plate. Doily not absolutely essential. And enjoy.